Okay then, let's show you what to do. So, when the game starts, I'm going to set the timer to being 10. I'm going to repeat 10 times. The weight needs to go before that. Okay, and then I'm going to change my timer by -1. And then when that's done 10 times, I'm going to stop all. Now let's watch the timer. Let's put it up in the top left. Let's play the game and watch the timer to see if that works. Okay, we have to wait, talk amongst ourselves like a whack a beetle whilst we're doing it. Whack a few beetles. Let's see what happens. 3 or the timer 1. And look at that. The game stopped. The timer hit 0. The game stopped, and I'd whacked 7 beetles. That's not my record. Obviously, I could probably get millions. Probably get millions with my cat-like reactions. I don't know what my score will be, but I'm not going to make you suffer and watch that. So that's all that you had to do to get your game working. Now we have a working game. I mean, you could challenge your friends to whack as many beetles as possible, and you could compare your scores. Okay, I want to set you a couple of extension tasks that I'm not going to show you how to do. But before you do it, I do need to show you something with the timer, a slightly different way of doing the timer. But if you don't do this, you won't be able to do one of the extension tasks that I set you. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do that. Now, you're probably thinking, well, hold on a moment. If you do that, and we'll leave the stop all in there for the moment, forever, then surely your timer's going to go to like -1, -2, -3. How do you know when it should stop? Well, the answer is that I want to say if timer is equal to 0, then stop. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to show you this one. If, and I'm going to get something called an operator here, and I'm going to get this equals one. I'm going to drop it in there. And what I'm going to do is do this. I'm going to show you that it works, first of all. I'm going to go to variables. I'm going to grab my timer and put it in there. And then put that there. And then I'm going to put that inside there. Now let's have a quick look at this code first of all, because I've a bit of a big jump here. What this now doing is when the green flag is clicked, set timer to 10. Forever, wait a second, not one off the timer. If the timer is equal to 0, then stop the game. So in fact, watch the timer, we won't whack a couple of beetles to going in. What will happen, it still will work. When it gets to 0 in a second, the game will stop. And that's great, that's what we want to happen. But the reason for doing it this way is now I can set you a couple of challenges to improve your game. Challenge number 1. We've been whacking beetles, and apparently this is a good thing. Well, it is in our game. In real life, no, don't whack. Just put it out the window and put it in a car. You know, they're not going to bite you. Well, I don't know. In Australia, they probably would do, would they? Everything bites you in Australia. All right. Yeah, where was I? What was I talking about? Well, maybe we could have cats appearing on the screen. You don't want to whack them. If you whack a cat, maybe your score goes down by 2 or 5 or whatever you decide on. But maybe you could have something that appears that when you hit it, it gives you extra time. Now that's possible if you do it this way. Because, for example, maybe if a dog appears and you whack the dog, timer goes up by 5. Well, that's okay. That would still keep doing. That would work with this particular way of setting up. But if I had that repeat 10 seconds, the game will only ever last 10 seconds before it stops. With this setup, the timer can change depending on animals that you whack. So that's the challenge. Let's go through that again. Number 1, can you put an animal on there that if you whack it, you lose points? And challenge number 2, can you put something on there that if you whack it, it adds a score onto your timer? You probably don't want to have the one that adds score onto your time, adds onto your time, you don't have that appearing very often, I don't think. Maybe it should only be on the screen for a very short period of time. But actually, all the skills that you need to make that happen, we have already taught you. So you can make it happen. So that's your extension task. See if you can improve this game. So if certain animals appear, your score goes down. If certain things appear, your timer goes up. Actually, hold on 1 second. I've just had a thought, something that might really, really help you. I mentioned that you probably don't want the thing to increase the timer to appear very often. I want to show you how you can do that using a little technique. So I'm on the beetle now, and we know that if I whack the beetle with the hammer, then the beetle would appear somewhere else, because the command says if you touch the hammer, change the score by 1, hide, go to a random position and then show. But what about if I wanted the beetle to wait a bit before it appeared? So we know that in control we have this command that says wait 1 second. Now if I do this and put it there and press run, I whack the beetle, it waits a whole second before it reappears. Like so. Which is okay, but it means that I'm only ever going to, there we go, I scored 6 in my game. But what about if we wanted it to wait a random amount of time? Well, in fact, actually, there's an operator here that says pick random 1 to 10. And I'm going to put it in there. Now, watch what happens. Got the beetle. Now, it's picking a random number of seconds between 1 and 10, and it looks as though, oh, there we go, about 7 seconds, there we go. So, unfortunately, not a great game, because I've got to wait ages for the beetle to reappear. But the reason for what I can do here is this. This is divide by 1, whereas this one here is divide by. So if I put pick random 1 to 10 in the first bit, and then I say divide by 10, what you will now find, if I put that in there, is this gives me like tenths of a second. So, where's my beetle? Oh no, I've completely forgotten to do something. It's a bit embarrassing. We'll have to go back to the other games. When my beetle was hidden, so I'm going to have to go to looks here. I forgot to show my beetle. Oh, down the bottom there. When we start the game. How embarrassing. Right, so there we go. And now, did you see? There's a bit of delay, and sometimes it's quite quick coming back, and sometimes it's quite slow coming back. That was a slow one, I've run out of time. Just to emphasise that again, that was quite a long delay there before the big, another long one. That was a quick one there. It was so quick that you didn't actually see it. But sometimes the beetle takes a long time to come back. Sometimes it takes a short time to come back, because it depends on, it's just randomly deciding how long it's going to come back. Now, I probably don't want that on the beetle. I always want the beetle to reappear instantly. But I could use that command on other animals or objects that I want to pop up to change the score negatively or to add stuff onto the timer. So that's something that you might want to consider, is that you can have this random element, and if you want just seconds, pick random 1 to 10, but if you want tenths of a second, you can actually put that in there, and then you get, say, instead of picking, say, 5, it would do 5 divided by 10, which is a half. Or if it picks 7, 7 divided by 10, which is 0.7 of a second. So that's what I would do, and use that command, but use it on 2 other objects to make them sort of randomly appear on the screen at different times. Now that is enough for you to go and to complete those extension tasks.